Okay, so I'm tighter here. I'm manually focused. And now I'm just gonna come in here and get a nice tight pan down shot. But right here, I'm exposing for the flowers. Okay, I'm not necessarily exposing for the sky because I'm not wide anymore. I'm nice and tight on all the details in this floral arrangement, okay? Guests are getting ready to arrive right now. Now I'm gonna get with my team, make sure they're on the same page, and we're gonna move forward with the ceremony. Okay, so the guests are gonna arriving, and I want these shots to look good, and I need this context. It's gonna add some impact to the story. It's gonna complete the story of the procession and the ceremony and all that. Now, I need to determine what side looks the best based on this camera because this is my wide shot. Now I'm noticing on this side, there's a parking lot there, it doesn't look great, and I also have the DJ console over here, and that doesn't look great. But when I look to this side, it's all green, it's all very picturesque, so I wanna be shooting this way, which means I got to tell my team, Jessica, Anthony, you need to move over to the left side. So they're all going to be shooting from the left side. And actually that's going to be throughout, not just the guest arrival, but also the procession. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, so this looks great. I've got a nice wide shot with the venue in the background. And I'm actually going to track them all the way around. And everything looks great because I don't have any junk in the background. Now for this couple, I don't want the shot to look exactly the same, so maybe I'm gonna get them passing the camera. And they're gonna pass right by. And then for this set of guests, I'm probably gonna track them, sidetrack them, and just kind of follow them to their seats. And that would pretty much be it for guest arrival. Now I need to get set up with my team and get ready for the procession. Typically for the procession, I'm gonna pick up the gimbal to add some movement to these shots. Jessica's in position with that 70 to 200 to capture everyone as they make their way down the aisle. If Anthony isn't assisting me, he'll be roaming, looking for those interesting creative shots. The important thing here is your exposure. You have to watch your exposure because right now the sun is really harsh. So right now, the best man and the mother of the bride is gonna come out. Something really interesting. Follow them around, make sure there's no junk in the background. That looked really good, exposures are nice. Now we have the officiant coming down. Nothing huge here, guys. Just nice, solid shooting. I'm using the gimbal to add some interest to the shot, just add some motion. And you don't have to stick to the one shot. You can kind of switch it up and maybe get her walking through the frame. So remember, once she's kind of exited the building and you have that shot for about 3 to 5 seconds, now switch to a different shot, especially if it's a situation like this where they have a long aisle. You can literally get like 2-3 shots out of the same one aisle for each person or couple that comes down the aisle. Now we have the groom coming out. This is a really, really important shot. Please make sure you're recording. Now you have the shot. This is about 3 to 5 seconds already. So now I can turn and grab a different angle and get him kind of walking into my frame. So now I have 2 very interesting shots, but actually I've got a third shot with Jessica because she's gonna be getting the front angle, 70 to 200. If I happen to miss my shot, Jessica's my safety cam. Okay, so the procession is gonna continue. I've got the best man and maid of honor coming out. This is gonna be pretty much the same thing, but we're getting closer and closer to the bride coming out now. You have to pay attention to this stuff Make sure you're recording. Let them walk in and out of my frame. Okay, so here comes the bride and her father. This is the money shot. Make sure you're recording. Sometimes you'll hit that record button and it's not recording, so please double check. Here comes the bride and her father. This looks amazing. Hopefully they're walking at a very nice pace and not running. And now I can even do like a high to low and come down and reveal both of them. This looks really good. And right now, Jessica's already picked up the shot. She's shooting 70 to 200, nice and tight. I'm getting all the emotions in the face. And now Anthony's gonna come over here very quickly because I have to cradle this gimbal. And what he's gonna do for me to save me some time, because all this initial stuff is very important. I wanna be able to capture that stuff. So he's gonna frame it up, make sure it's in focus, and most importantly, make sure it's properly exposed. So by the time I cradle this gimbal, I can simply just walk over here and pretty much this is ready to go that fast. You don't wanna miss any of that stuff because it's literally just me and Jessica filming the ceremony, so I don't wanna miss anything that's going on. And a lot of times Jessica's still making adjustments and she's still trying to move around up there and make some room. Sometimes you're gonna have larger bridal parties, so it's gonna get a little bit challenging. So now we both have the plan. She's gonna shoot tight on the officiant and tight on the bride for the vows and the ring exchange. Now when Jessica's up there, she's also getting cutaways of the audience. Now what I'm gonna do here is I'm really just focused on the 3 shot. Okay, so basically I have this shot here. It's framed up, it's focused, exposure is on point, but it's a little bit too tight. I have a long lens on here, it's a 135, but this is a very short aisle, so I need to either move back or throw a wider lens on here. I love the look of the long lens, so it's my preference to just move back with the same 135 lens on there. But before I move this camera, I need to look over at Jessica and see what she's doing. It's only the 2 of us filming this event, so I need to make sure that she's not also moving her camera. So me and Jessica have a silent communication thing that we do, and it's very simple. If I look over at Jessica and she's got her hands to her side, that means I can go ahead and take this camera, move it back, frame it up. Now we're on grass, so you wanna make sure you have a level shot. Use your leveler, and now this looks a lot better. And I'm just gonna hold this shot now. And basically while I'm holding this shot, what's Jessica's role up there? She's basically focusing in on the officiant. She's got a nice, tight, intimate shot with the 70 to 200, and that's basically her shot. Now, during the ceremony, she may look over and say, you know what? I've got a shot of the officiant, and Ray's also got a shot of the officiant. So what is Jessica gonna do? She's gonna take advantage of the time and start looking for some content. So she may turn her camera from up there and start getting some B-roll shots from the audience. Okay, once she's done with that, she's gonna be back on the officiant. I'm gonna recognize that, and that's kind of my cue if I need to move, and I'm probably even gonna go further back. I kind of like this long look down this aisle. I'm gonna come here, she's not moving. I'm gonna re-level the shot, and now I'm really happy with the shot. Okay. So I've framed up the shot, everything looks great. It's in focus, it's properly exposed. Now in terms of exposure, you gotta be really, really careful here because the sunlight is really harsh right now. One of the things that I do is I like to see the detail in the whites of the bride's dress. So I'm looking at my viewfinder right here, everything looks great. I've got my reference audio here, even though Jessica has already set up the primary audio, now we're all set. Okay, so during a ceremony, I'm basically just here monitoring my team and my camera, obviously. But what happens if it's a long ceremony? What if the ceremony runs over? What if the ceremony's like 60 minutes or 90 minutes and I'm literally just standing here not doing that much? I want to take advantage of time. So one of the things that I'm going to do is, since I have this gimbal, I'm going to come over here to the gimbal and I'm going to try to get something creative because not a lot's going on right now. They could be doing communion, they could be singing Ave Maria or something like this. So I want to take advantage of time. Remember, the ceremony is all about being solid, but if I have an opportunity to get some eye candy for the film, I want to take advantage. So let's see what we got now. Check your exposure, most importantly. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this gimbal and I'm just gonna do a high to low. I love doing high to lows. And this just adds some additional impact to the film. You could be in a church where the architecture is like really interesting and you want to be able to get all that. That's why I like the high to low stuff. Out here, it's like full of greens, very picturesque. So you want to take advantage of this opportunity. If they're still not going into the valves and the ring exchange, I'm just going to keep getting some creative looking shots. I'm just going to kind of think outside the box. Maybe I'm going to come over the top of chairs and just look for some additional eye candy. One thing you got to remember is I have a long lens on this center camera. So even though I'm coming into the center aisle with a couple of these creative shots, I'm not necessarily in my center camera's view because it's shooting long. You don't necessarily have to shoot from the center. You can shoot off center. And if you look at my camera right now in the position on the tripod, I'm actually shooting off center. I'm not in the center. This does two things. It might provide me like a really cool looking shot, and also, let's say a photographer wanted to get in here and get a nice center wide shot, and the photographer wanted to center themselves right down the middle. They can do that. It's all about teamwork here. It's all about teamwork. So now they're gonna jump into the valves and the ring exchange. I need to cradle this. I still have my center shot, and Jessica's still up there with the main shot on the officiant. What Jessica's gonna do is, for the valves and the ring exchange, her primary focus right now is gonna be the bride. Anthony's gonna come around monopod. Now the monopod, I only recommend the monopod outdoors if you're really solid on the monopod. It gets really tricky, especially if it's windy out. And really, if you're on a tripod, it's gonna give you more time to kind of just set the camera, level it, get in focus, check your exposure, and get the shot. If you're on a monopod, it gets really tricky. Anthony on my team, he loves to shoot with the monopod. It makes him quicker. It makes him less intrusive. So he kind of sticks with the monopod. Just be careful. If you're the type that's maybe had too much coffee, or you get nervous, your hands shake, maybe you don't want to use the monopod. You want to kind of transition to a tripod for that shot, because you don't want a really solid shot of the bride and then your groom angle shot just looks like a complete mess, basically. One of the things that I'm really concerned about is the audio for the valves and the ring exchange. Obviously, we've got the cameras in position. We're ready to go. They're framed up, exposure's on point. We're in focus, but it's where they stand that can create a problem. So I had a conversation with the bride and groom just before the ceremony. I also had a conversation with the officiant. So my conversation with the bride and groom was just to make them understand that in this particular case, the bride is not wearing a lav mic. So we're actually relying on the groom's mic to pick up her vows and ring exchange. So what I want them to do is kind of stand a little bit closer together, hold hands, don't block the officiant. And then I also talk to the officiant. This is gonna be key. And I'm hoping the officiant is gonna remember what I asked her, because I'm gonna ask you for a huge favor.
All right.
During the vows and the ring exchange, can you remember to hold up the mic for the bride and the groom?
I can do that.
Awesome, because we want to be able to record the bride's vows and the ring exchange and showcase that in the film. Is that fine?
Winner.
Okay. An even better situation would be if the officiant could hand the mic to the bride and groom as they're doing their vows. That way you don't get the arm kind of reaching across the face and things like that. So hopefully she's gonna remember. They're gonna jump right into the vows and the ring exchange, and we're gonna run through their personal vows. Now I've got my center shot set up, I've got Jessica's angle, and I've got Anthony ready for the groom angle. I'm all framed up. I got a really nice shot. It's a medium wide shot. Now on these medium to wide shots, I wanna see all the fingertips, okay? I'm just gonna kind of wait. Now right now I'm hoping that the officiant's gonna remember to hand over that handheld mic to the bride and groom so I can get that great audio. They got the handheld mic. That means we're gonna get fantastic audio. This is great. All right, so right now, look, they're doing the vows. What's gonna come next? Ring exchange. But I don't wanna get too complacent on this camera right now because I know the kiss is coming, all right? What's gonna happen when we do the kiss? Once they're done with the vows and ring exchange, I'm gonna take this camera here with the long lens and I'm gonna move it off center. And I'm gonna get ready to grab that gimbal because I wanna be able to do the recessional right next to the photographer. Okay, So we're gonna grab this gimbal, and very quickly, I'm gonna turn it on, and I wanna set my exposure. Make sure you're in focus. Everything looks great. And here comes the end of the ceremony. Good thing about this, I'm gonna have 2 angles from the center of the kiss and the recessional. And here they come. This looks really great. Look at all this interaction. Look at all these emotions. And now they're just gonna come down the center. And this was amazing. And now you can just keep getting the rest of the recessional very quickly. Let them walk in and out of the frame. And that's pretty much the end of the ceremony.